What's up, everybody? My name is Chad. You're watching Downshift Pass, and this is the 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe XRT. And that's right, folks. Today we're taking a look at the XRT trim level of the Hyundai Santa Fe. So of course we're going to go over the exterior. Don't look at the rear end. It's not that bad. The interior, that if you put a phone here, I promise you it does not move while you're driving unless you're taking corners, something crazy. We're going to go for a drive. I want to give props to Hyundai on their self-driving function by itself because it's amazing. And listen to the audio system. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button and continue watching. All right, folks, so let's go ahead and get started with the exterior styling of the Santa Fe. I'm going to come out and say it. I love the way this truck looks. Very unique. Now, as we take a look at the front end here, that's going to be your daytime running light as well as headlight. Full LED unit, of course, and that's how the turn signal looks when it is on. It is that amber turn signal that looks really cool. And then a light bar that runs across. You do have black badging on the XRT version as well. And as we move below, these are actually active shutters here that feeds air into the radiator, parking sensors down below as well. And then you'll notice that's also an H pattern in the front. So H headlights, H is all over this vehicle. Now, as we move along to the side here, obviously a very boxy SUV, but I think again, it looks really nice, especially in this color, which I hope is showing up well on camera, kind of a forest green. Now, taking a look at the rear view mirror here, it is a black cap. You do have an amber turn signal there as well. And you have a subtle Santa Fe logo on the front fender here. Now, this is the XRT version. So these wheels here are exclusive to the XRT. It's a 245 18-inch with an off-road tire. This is a Continental Terrain Contact, which comes standard on the vehicle. You'll also notice the XRT is about 2 inches higher as far as ground clearance goes. I believe it's 1.5. Now, you do have roof rails up top as well. And to assist you with getting up there, take a look at this. This little cool, neat, nifty thing is a handle. So you have something to grab onto. You have your tire, foot here, handle, and you could just hoist yourself up and take a look at what's up here. If you need to strap anything down, it just makes it a lot easier and a little bit safer than holding on to the roof rail here. So really nice feature. And if you want to close it, you just push up here, open it, it goes there. So I think that's something that they added that's really neat. Now, a lot of people say it has a Defender look to it. I absolutely see what they're saying. But as we swing to the back is when you say, okay, this is not a Defender. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the rear end of this. It doesn't look that bad in person. I think it is a little hard to film because its angles aren't the best. But of course you have your Hyundai logo back here, Santa Fe written out boldly, and then you have a subtle XRT badging as well as H-Track all-wheel drive on this vehicle. Not four-wheel drive, there is a difference. And take a look at that turn signal there, again in the H logo. And then your reverse lights are way down below. Now I do have the car running, but I'm gonna cut it off and show you guys one of my favorite features on the Santa Fe. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off, lock the door up here. Now, if the key is in my pocket and I just walk up to the rear of the Santa Fe, take a listen. The car is gonna beep a few times, about 6 times, and then you'll notice that the tailgate automatically opens to this huge, expansive space here. And I think that's really neat. You don't have to wave your foot under anything. You just have to stand close to it and it'll do its thing. Now, taking a look at this expansive space, Hyundai said they designed this car from the back forward. They wanted to make this cargo space extremely useful, which it is. So you have these huge struts here that are on the outboard part of the vehicle to open up this space here. So it's very easy to load and unload things. Now, the Santa Fe is a 3-row SUV, of course. Now, if you want to fold the seats, you just pull this strap here and then push forward. Trying to do that with one hand. And it falls forward, and it is split in half. And you can also use this strap here if you just want to recline the seat, so your 3rd row passengers have plenty of space and plenty of comfort as far as this one here. Plenty of comfort as far as that goes. Now, if you want to fold down the second seats, I love that you could do it from the 3rd row. You have 2 buttons here. You just push it and it'll fold flat. And then you can do the left side. It folds completely flat as well, but obviously that seat is just in the way. Now this third row space, you do have vents back here as well as a AC charger here, 115 volt. So I love that they do that. And then if you do want to close it, you just push the button here, or you can push the button on the key to close it up as well. You do also have, of course, your third brake light, but under there is going to be where your windshield wiper is. And I love that they included it to kind of keep it as clean as possible. They included it up into the spoiler. Now let's go ahead and hop into the back seat. Now my particular tester does not have captain's chairs, but you can option that if you step up a grade to the calligraphy model. Now, as we take a step, first, let's take a look at how wide this door swings open as well. Extremely, extremely useful. It is a pretty big door, but it's very useful as well. Now, the second row space, folks, this is plenty of space. I have the driver's seat in my seating position. I am 5'8", and I mean, look at this knee room here, the feet room up under. These seats in the second row also recline, and then you do have hooks here as well if you need to place bags. And of course you have mat pockets in the driver as well as passenger door. You do have USB-C ports in the seat, so that's extremely useful if you do have kids. And down below, a little bit more storage space. And another really neat feature is this here opens up from the rear. Now, it's going to be the same as the front, but you can open it from the rear, so if your kids are back here, they can access anything that they need to access. You do have vents in the second row as well, 2 cup holders here, and more storage space. Here's storage space all over this vehicle, folks. And, ooh, it's hard to get out. All right, and your armrest here as well, which includes 2 cup holders. Now, third row seat space is actually pretty good to get there. You have a couple of different options. You can push this button here. You can push this button here. It slides forward. And this is your recline function for the second row. Now, let me go ahead and lift this seat back up. And I'm going to go ahead and just step back here. All right. Now again, folks, I'm 5'8", and this is where the seat is for me. You have a little space to slide your feet under on one side, it looks like at least. And this seat can slide back, so you can give them more space or your third row passengers more space. And this seat, again, reclines pretty far, folks. I mean, I don't know if you can see it. I'm leaning back here. So it reclines pretty good, and it's not a bad place to be. Like I said, you have your vents back here, and I love that they include the rear AC controls for the third row passenger. So you can control the fan speed, not the temperature, but you can control the fan speed. 2 cup holders back here as well on either side, so for a total of 4. And if you need to get out, again, you just push that button, and you can hop right on out. All right, folks, now taking a look under the hood of the Santa Fe, this is Hyundai's 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, produces 277 horsepower and over 300 pound-feet of torque, folks. And it has actually made it to a dual clutch transmission, a wet dual clutch transmission, which you would think is typically for performance applications, but this is more for gas mileage. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the drive. Now let's go ahead and hop into the driver's seat, but first let's take a look at this key here. Initially it just looks, I love the shape of it, but it just looks like, you know, funky shapes on the key. But if you turn it sideways, it's actually the Hyundai logo, which is a really neat detail that they have on all their keys now. Now, of course, you have your lock, unlock, hold for the remote start, as well as the panic button. And then on the side of the key, you have a small button here to control that rear tailgate. So if you want to get into the car, obviously you can use the key, or with the key in your pocket, you just walk up to the car, hand behind the handle, and it'll unlock. Now, if you want to lock it, there is a small square here. You just push on that, or put your finger over it really, and it'll lock right up. Now we're going to go ahead and hop inside of the Santa Fe. Close the door here. Love the way the door sounds, nice solid thunk. And then let's take a look at this startup sequence. So foot on the brake, push button start, of course. and that is it. Now, I know your eyes are immediately taking a look at this very huge and also curved screen. But believe it or not, this is not one screen. It's actually two. And this one is a very large screen, a very large infotainment system here. I believe it's 12.5 inches. Now in the middle, it looks like a screen, but it's not. This is just digital on either side. And in the middle is the only part that you can actually customize. Now you use the button on the steering wheel here to change what you actually see here. So that's going to be just a few settings, your cruise control settings and different things that are going to show here. So it looks like I said, it looks like it's fully two screens, but it's in actuality, it's just not. Now, of course, you do have your window switches here, which are one touch up and down in the front. In the rear, like I said, you do have to press and hold for up and down, but the windows do go all the way down, and I think that's awesome. And let's take a look at this steering wheel, which is straight out of the Land Rover Defense. Oh, I'm sorry, it's straight out of the Hyundai parts bin, but no, it really looks like a Land Rover steering wheel. Now, if you look at the 4 dots here, this is actually Morse code for Hyundai. So they took the logo off and they include this on all their vehicles. Now, to me, it gives really kind of a luxury touch. Of course, you do have paddle shifters to control that dual clutch transmission, and then your gear shift selector is actually going to be this here. So with your foot on the brake, you just turn it forward for drive, back for reverse, and then there is a button on the side for park. But since we're here, let's go ahead and throw it in reverse and take a look at this reverse camera. You don't have a 360-degree camera on the XRT trim, but it is optional. Pretty decent resolution here. You can change it to full screen, and you can also change what it's showing. So that's a down below, that's a regular angle, and then the full screen is going to be the wide angle. So you don't have the bumper to kind of help guide you. So I usually just keep it here. And then this is your parking sensor. So as you click closer to something, different color pops up here. Of course, you have your air vents as well, showing you this because do you see the H logo? There is H logos, like I said, everywhere. And then moving around to this panel is going to be the climate control panel, and right above it is how you control a lot of the functions in the infotainment screen here. Now, I do love that they include physical knobs for the temperature control, and they have a nice tactile feel and sound. Let's see. Hopefully that's picking up on camera. And then this screen here can be kind of hard to get used to if you're driving because it is touch. It's touch sensitive and it doesn't have any feel behind it. But I do love, again, small details. So if I push the button here, you see the little blue lines that come on the side. So it kind of lets you know, it's kind of your confirmation that you did push something. But a better confirmation, I think, will be like a haptic feedback, because this is just kind of dangerous. Now, you do have a few buttons down below here. Auto hold, your different drive modes. It says 4-wheel drive lock. This is an all-wheel drive vehicle. Auto off button here. Thankfully, they include just a button that you could just get in and just push it. It's very simple. Hill descent control, because this is an off-road vehicle, duh. And then your parking button here. So if you push this button, it just makes the camera pop up pretty immediately. And then your parking sensor button as well. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of this vehicle. The car does have a wireless charger, and it's, I mean, perfect place. You get in the car, you always drop your phone in the middle. It just wirelessly charges. On the driver's side, the passenger side, it does not, but they include the same type of material here that if you put a phone here, I promise you, it does not move while you're driving. Unless you're taking corners, something crazy, it does not move at all. So I love this here. You do have USB-C ports as well. And then you have 2 cup holders down below. And remember I mentioned that storage space? This is what you see here that you can control from the back. So good storage space in the middle. And as we move along to the passenger side, if you push this button here, you have an upper glove compartment. And then obviously down below you have a larger glove compartment here. It is damp to kind of give it a little bit more of an elevated feel. And then your middle shelf here as well. Up above, you do have a sunroof with a manual shade. You can get a panoramic roof, but that would require you to get the calligraphy model. And that is pretty much it, folks, as far as the interior space goes. Very thoughtful interior space, I must say. Oh, let me talk about the infotainment for a second here. One thing I appreciate about this is look at the ease. I mean, next to Tesla, I think Hyundai, Kia, Genesis makes the best infotainment in the system. Whatever hardware or software they're using, whatever you press, I mean, it comes up it's just good. So it's very responsive to your touch. It's very responsive to anything that you need it to do. It looks really good. It's very simple to use. Even the way they describe things are just thoughtful. If you don't know what it is, it's just very thoughtful. Start up maximum volume. Look at all the words that it's writing you to tell you what that is when it's pretty clear what it is. And I just have always appreciated how Hyundai is, to me, just a very thoughtful company when it comes to those things. You usually see that only in more luxury vehicles like the BMWs and Mercedes-Benzes. One more thing, you do have XRT written out on the seats as well, and that's a view from the front here of all three rows. But like I said, that's about it, folks. Let's go ahead and take this baby for a drive. Now, let's talk about the powertrain for a second here. Again, 277 horsepower, over 300 pound-feet of torque. It is a turbocharged engine, and I mean, it brings on the power delivery very smoothly. It feels good. The one thing that I really noticed that I kept saying about it is it really feels like an old school turbo. And if you know what I mean, or if you don't know what I mean by that, old school turbos, they definitely needed time to spool up. So it was a lot of nothing, and then whoa, whole bunch of power. And this car kind of does that. And when I get up to this stop sign here, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Now, you'll notice that when I do it, I don't brake torque this car because this dual clutch transmission does not like to be brake torqued. Tried it before and I felt like it just felt more linear and more normal, honestly, in its operation, the transmission itself, in its operation when you just mash the gas. So we're gonna go ahead and do a 0 to 60 run here. All right, here we go. Nothing. Woo. And I mean, it takes off pretty well. When I first mashed the gas on this car, I remember thinking to myself, and I mean, half a second later, I was like, oh wait, now I get it. Now I see where that 300, I think it's 311 pound-feet of torque is sitting at. It comes on pretty strongly actually, but it feels good. And once you're not driving it like a maniac, the power delivery is actually really nicely, especially with the dual clutch transmission. It's just very smooth in its operation. And for it to be a 4-cylinder, it does not sound coarse or grainy or bad whatsoever. I really love this transmission. Woo, woo. Remember guys, this is on off-road tires, so you're not gonna be doing that in your normal day today. Now, since we're on the highway here, folks, road noise is very muted, especially for it to be on off-road tires. It's a really quiet cabin. It's pleasant, it's comfortable. Hyundai really knocked it out of the park with the highway drive of this car. And one thing I usually do when I am doing the audio test is the self-driving functionality. But I want to give props to Hyundai on their self-driving function by itself because it's amazing. And this isn't even their highest level. It's called Highway Drive Assist. And then they also have Highway Drive Assist 2. Now it's very simple. Hopefully with the way I film, this camera right here doesn't knock me out of it, but you just turn it on. Oh yeah, it says full face not visible. Darn. I would love to show you guys how it drives. Well, it's doing it. Let's see. The furthest that I've gone with it driving by itself, I'm talking about no intervention of my hands at all, was 150 seconds. And I mean, that is impressive. If you have a Tesla, you already know every about 15-20 seconds is going to ask you to do something. This one does not. I'm going to go ahead and just cut it off since it's realizing that my face is not completely visible for some reason. But yeah. I really enjoy driving this car. All right, folks, now the audio system in this Santa Fe is the standard audio system, so no additional speakers, no extra subwoofers or anything like that. Just your standard audio system, and we are gonna go ahead and take a listen, and you tell me what you think. And folks, that was the audio system in the 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe XRT. Go ahead and drop in the comments below and let me know what you think. For me, it gets the job done. Doesn't distort too much once you cut it all the way up. Bass levels are pretty decent. Treble is pretty decent. It's a little flat everywhere else, but it's okay. I do feel like, well, I do appreciate, I should say, and any audio system that you could cut up or turn the volume all the way up and it doesn't distort or just completely give out as far as sound goes. And this one does that, so I'll give it some kudos. Now, Hyundai really decided to break the mold as far as midsize SUV goes with the all-new Santa Fe. Of course, the styling of the vehicle, but not only that, don't look at the rear end. It's not that bad. But as far as technology and all the thoughtful features that it has as well. If you are in the market for a midsize SUV, honestly, folks, this is one of the best on the market. Don't sleep on the Santa Fe. But if you made it this far in the video, I absolutely appreciate you for watching. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you learned something new as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.